Okay, I'm back. I think it's been a couple days maybe. I said I was going to do a follow-up to the boil test to that stove the other night for its maiden voyage. So I made some modifications to it, and I'll share those with you in just a little bit. So I got some, going to get a fire going here, and we got and to make it fair, the little Nero was 12 ounces of water, ice water, so we got ice water now. We got a clock, and let me get a fire going, then we'll talk some more. This is some more of that Lowe's Lowe's hardware fat wood. I don't even know what brand it is. Something comes in a bag and they're all chunks like this. But a couple of you have reached out that live a little higher in elevation than I do, to where you have access to pine trees, and a couple have reached out and said they're going to send me some fat wood, which I much appreciate. I probably spend too much time in the shop. I should get out more often, but looking forward to doing some of that once I get caught up a little bit. So that ought to serve the purpose right there, I think. And I forgot my fire steel, so let me run and get that real quick here, and I'll be right back. Okay, I got my fire steel, and let me go over some quick stuff here, just to give you an idea. I did away with the wing nut. I turned this down on the lathe last night when I threaded it, and then turned it down, but it's a small knurled, I don't know if you can see that, a knurled aluminum nut. It might, I don't know, I'll have to weigh them and see what it weighs compared to that wing nut, but I just thought I'd give it a little lower profile. So if you decide to carry this stove in your back pocket, and if you're having any question about how big it is, this is a standard 14-ounce can of chili that I'm going to have once I get this fire set up. I'm going to dump that in my Stanley cup, and why waste a fire? So yeah, the nut's new, the trivets, and what I did was I increased the airflow in the fire plate, so it's got a bunch of airflow in it now, and that's the ashtray. And these holes in the stove here were 1/2 inch when we did the initial test. They're now 5/8, I believe. Yeah, so let me get this thing put together real quick here. Let me get it put together, and we'll get us a fire going. And then we'll do the boil water test. So, alright. Hopefully, to be fair, it will be closer to the little Nero. I think was 7 minutes to bring to a boil without a lid, and it was 12 ounces of cold water with 12 ounces of cold water with no lid on the water. So let's put the ash pan on. There we go. And just a note for you guys that don't like using the ash pan, it really does a good job of holding the stove together. You can hold it from both sides instead of just the sides that lock it in. So let me get some of this get some of this loaded up in here. We'll get this fire going, and we'll do that water boil test. Hang in there. Okay, let's get a fire going here and get some decent coals going so we can do that boil test. Just to be fair to the little Nero, I'm really hoping that this little stove here will perform as well, if not better. So like I said, 12 ounces of water. We got a half a dozen ice cubes in it to make sure it's fairly cold. I think that's what we did last time with the other one. Nathan 4071 high-speed striker and fire steel. Fine. Yeah, one and done, baby. Get her dumped in there. Get her a good fire going. And so I load from the top until everything burns down good and you get some good coals going. Some people may do it differently. I've got my pocket bellows here that I would highly recommend for, I mean, can or you can, I don't care, but I find it very useful, especially trying to get something going that you just added and it doesn't want to take off. So once this takes off, we'll come back and check it out and get that test going. So there you go. It's coming along. We got a good, it really took off. I can tell that the extra holes made a big difference. We got 2 trivets that we're going to put on it. When we did the initial test, there was only 1 trivet, so I couldn't get the cup centered. And it was actually on a Stanley cup, not the Ozark Trail Walmart cup that has a little wider base like I used when we did the little Nero. So trying to replicate everything in that test to see if this little stove will put out as much heat as the little Nero or comparable, because like I said, you know, in stature, I mean, look, that whole thing will fit in your back pocket. And I'm working with my person that makes the little pouches for the other stoves to make a pouch for this one. So it's a definite go. James Harshman Hills is what everybody knows him by. He's already placed an order for one of these since he's the one that did the challenge, and I guess I got his vote. So let's come back to this after we got some good coals. So we got coals, the flames went out. I'm going to add some wood. And like I said, this little pocket bellows is absolutely the bomb. For keeping the heat in there. So I'll be back in a second, and we're just about ready to put that water on here. Okay, I think we're about ready for this. I got my little Leatherman style micro, and we do it without it. Let's just set them on there like that. And I think the trick to this thing is we'll get that water on there and start the clock, is having the right size fuel to be able to keep it stoked, because it's so small. With the Nero, you can shove a bunch of fuel in there. With this one, you because the pieces are so small, they want to burn up pretty darn fast. Now James was going to use the fire pucks. So again, you can see it went out. Give it a little tug on the pocket bellows, and the wood fires right back up. And then I guess key is just keep feeding it. So let me get my clock going here, and we'll get this thing on here. Let's go to our clock. All right, 0. water on, start, and uncovered, just like we did with little Nero. So, so as to not draw this out, let me pause this and come back to it in just a minute. Okay, so it looks like I'm discovering that the smaller the pieces of wood, the better off you are. We're at 7 minutes now, and we got bubbles forming, but it's definitely not boiling. So I'm assuming because of the smaller size, it's just the fire chamber itself can't put out as much heat as Nero. I'll have to go back and do another test with a little Nero, so I'll come back when we got a boil and we'll give you a total on the time. Okay, we're at 10:49. We got bubbles starting to form, and it's not rolling, but it's boiling. So I'll be back when we get a full roll. Hang in there. Okay, it's getting ready to kick off at any minute here. So, I don't know, 11:45, just shy of 12 minutes. So maybe all the holes didn't help. I don't know. There's 12 minutes right there, and we got a boil. So, someone had mentioned that just because of the size that there may be a big difference. So, probably so. I mean, anyway, so I'm going to get this water off here and get my lunch on, and I'll check back in a second. Got them frijoles boiling already. Right. This is a cricket eating tool. Can't remember. Somebody bought me this a long time ago. I only used it a couple times, but don't want to burn my beans. Yeah. Some chili beans. Nally. Denison's my favorite. Nally. That was kind of when everybody lost their minds during COVID. That was all they had to pick from. So anyway, little chili beans and some saltines. Yum. Be back. Well, the beans are about as done as they're going to get. So, in summary, take these beans off of here. In summary, I think probably the most important part is size of the fuel, because it doesn't look like, so we're talking something that fits perfectly in the burn chamber, because the lip on the stove is not as big as the Nero, because the Nero's a little taller. So hey, to keep its compactness, your fuel needs to be good. And as far as I can tell, I have a little lunch here. As far as I can tell, it doesn't boil water as fast as the Nero, but even with the extra holes. So I guess there's a little trade-off there. Well, that's hot. Good. Still not my favorite, but it's good. Cracker. So there it is. That's about all I'm going to do with that one. I'll be making one for James Harshman Hills. He put an order in for one. I got a stove going out to plain old Chuck today. Got to get over to the post office and get it off. Got a fella in Missouri ordered one of the big brothers, and I ordered a couple of I think they're 6x10 backpacking grates. Never had one, but I got a little project in the works on that one, so I'll be checking back in. You guys have to check that out. That's going to be kind of interesting. Let's see, let me give you a teaser. The little fire pits that I sent to Nate, Redneck Renegade, and Ron T. Sawyer. That's where I'm going with them little barbecue grates, or backpacking barbecue grates. So there's more to come. I guess I'll see you guys on Friday. We'll make a fire. Wish everybody well, and thanks for checking in. See you later. So yeah, just standing here. I know I said I was done, but just standing here looking at this little stove. I'm no physicist, but is that what it would be? Physicist? I don't know. Anyway, maybe it has something to do with how tall the stove is. The little Nero's a little taller. Maybe it's the amount of time it takes to get that flame up into whatever you're cooking in. I don't know. I mean, because the little stove works very efficiently, this little thing here. I mean, it all has to do with how much fuel you can feed it and tend to it, you know. So that was oak, and that's hot. Maybe it has something to do with the height, you know. But hell, if you're out in the woods, what's the hurry, right? I mean, right? What's the hurry? You're there to enjoy it anyway. This chili's pretty good. Not as good as homemade. It's pretty good though. So okay, I'll see you guys Friday. Check out my neighbor's crazy ass cat walking on his front legs.